Good morning, Regents.
I'm Mr. Jones.
And I'm Mr. McGrath.
Welcome to the Regent Spotlight.
No matter where we are
all Regents. So, I want to introduce our first guest and the head of our school, Dr. Karen Boran. So, Dr. Boran.
Everybody.
Yeah. Dr. Boran, in case no one knows, came to us from Lake Geneva, Wisconsin. She was a farm kid, went to Lake Geneva High, then went to UW-Madison, where she majored in theater and drama and communications. Then she got her master's and doctorate at National Louis University. Did a lot of work at a lot of universities before working in Chicago Public Schools, where she was a reading specialist, a reading coach, a manager, a director, and director of like the whole curriculum in Chicago for Chicago Public Schools. Then later went on to be an assistant principal and then a principal before she came to us at West. So Dr. Boran's finishing up her third year at West, and came to us because Chicago wasn't so fun in terms of dealing with the climate down there, and Dr. Boran's a well-traveled person and has a lot of siblings, 9 siblings. Dang. Yeah. And I think the most interesting thing that I found with the information you gave us, Dr. Boran, is you used to be a comic?
Yeah. When I was at Madison, so set the way back, late 70s, we worked in various bars and clubs, and then I moved to Los Angeles, New York, and then settled in Chicago, and I was a touring stand-up comic for 7 years.
I'd like to put you on the spot and ask for your best joke right here, Dr. Boran, but I think, next time you join us on the Spotlight, maybe you can warm us up with a couple minutes of your routine.
The problem is that I'm actually not funny. And it took a long time. I'm very stubborn, but it took a long time for me to realize that my humor needed footnotes. I was really good at getting the comedians in the back of the comedy club to collapse in laughter on the floor, but your average paying customer needed a lot more background. So a little too nuanced for the American public, and there you go.
Dr. Boran, too raw for audiences.
It wasn't even raw. It was, I'd make a joke about Dante.
Oh,
and
okay.
People would be like, so is that a singer? And you're like, okay, got it, yeah. But I have to say one good thing. It made me very comfortable talking in front of groups of people, and made me very cognizant of how to read a room. And so those are essential leadership skills, and I learned them in a really rough training ground, but I learned them.
Well, I think if any of our students want to be aspiring comedians, they should they should email you. Maybe you can give them some tips.
Yeah, the biggest tip I can say is that you have to commit to it in a way that musicians can hide behind their instrument. An actor can hide behind the lines that somebody else has written for them. A comic, it's you, raw, alone, on stage, and you cannot have any doubts, because that will come through crystal clear. However crazy it is, you just have to commit 100%, and it requires a degree of courage that few professions ask.
No offense to our musicians and actors out there, of course.
None. My musical talent exists in the area of volume. Sing good, sing loud. And I certainly was trained formally as an actor, Shakespeare and the whole 9 yards. But what I really found is there's nothing like the fear going in front of 500 people who have had their 2-drink minimum. And then the release that happens afterwards. And it is that release afterwards that is totally addicting in a way that few other things are. It's an amazing profession.
That's awesome. So, well, let's start off by asking, how are you doing? Like, where are you right now and how are you feeling?
I'm in my basement. I just realized yesterday that I actually have to turn my basement into an office. So I'm slowly moving furniture around. I think my colleagues on the admin team were smarter than I and did that probably the first couple of days, but I'm very stubborn. I live with my husband and my 93-year-old mother-in-law, so I have company. And that makes a world of difference. I'm discovering that I am an introvert, and being alone is okay. But again, it's choice aloneness, because I can always go upstairs, interact with my family for 2 minutes and go, ah, gotta go, and crawl back in the basement. So I think I'm doing well from that standpoint. I have been devastated by the news of our students and the impact that news is having on our families and our community. It's an extraordinary situation, and one that I'm finding day after day hits me. The ripples hit me in ways I hadn't thought of before, and I just have to say that's something that I know many of us are dealing with as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. As far as the launch of school, I'm thrilled. I'm thrilled with how our teachers just jumped in last week and willingly engaged in creating an entirely new virtual world of instruction that we had not wrapped our brains around before, hadn't had to. And I just got off the ESL department meeting, and I'm so excited at the collaboration that I'm seeing and the innovation that I'm seeing. I think it's because it's so new to all of us that we're free to innovate in ways we'd never thought of before, and we have time to think about things in a different way. It's very exciting what I'm seeing.
So the last couple of weeks were a little bit like the month of August, just a lot of preparation for the launch of school, almost like the start of a new school year. What were some of the challenges doing this virtually that you encountered, maybe for just you personally or organizationally?
People ask you as a high school principal, they're like, "Oh, you work in the summers?" And you're like, "Oh, dude, that's when I do my work, is in the summer." And then once the school year starts, you help everybody else do their jobs. So we had 2 weeks from March 16th to March 31st as an administrative team to invent the systems and structures to support teachers and staff in thinking about how do we create a world of virtual instruction. So Mr. McGrath, I know you know this, we were putting in huge hours as we tried to figure this out. I was exhausted. I was like, please, can school start? I think the biggest challenge was thinking through old problems in new ways, trying to address old challenges, equity. How can we use this new virtual platform to think about things differently? We'd be thinking about things, attendance, and you're like, oh, that's easy. No, it's not. Or grades. Oh, what's that going to be? So things that were just normal, ordinary processes, we just had to reinvent. and we had guidelines from the district, but the district guidelines impact all 52 schools and all 27,000 students, and don't necessarily apply to high school students in the West enrollment area. And so we made some decisions for our school as the school leader and with the input of my team, our team, to think about things differently and to make the decisions that we thought were best for our community. And that takes time to think it through, and some understanding that what I'm experiencing is not what everybody else is experiencing, and that there are people who lost work, there are people who don't have access, there are people whose family situation is changing, that they can't get a regular schedule. It's not the same for everyone, and we have to allow ourselves time to understand that. And that has taken a great deal of thinking. Thank God my hair was already white.
Well, what do you, I guess that kind of leads into, like, what are your favorite, like, West memories, or what do you miss being a part of at West? Like, what's, something that kind of bummed you out that's been canceled?
One West.
Yeah.
Being in the hallway. Really, being in the hallway, interacting with kids, finding a kid that you had a conversation with a week ago and saying, so, how's that going? How are you doing? Kids would just pop in my office and sit down and say, so you got to fix this. And I miss that. I miss that tremendously. I miss every once in a while a kid would come up and hug you. I miss that.
Spring is always a busy time at West, and you've gone through it twice. As you think about spring and all the events and the evenings and everything going on, what's one that sticks out that you've thought of over the last few weeks? You're sad about missing this spring.
Oh, prom. Oh my God, canceling prom. That was so hard. I was lucky enough to see the play the first week.
Oh, the musical.
Yeah, the musical.
9 to 5.
Yeah, 9 to 5. I'm thinking about NHS induction. I'm thinking about the scholarships. I'm just thinking about all those wonderful rites of passage that help our students transition from, high school graduation really is the transition between child and adult in our culture. Yeah. And so many of our students are being asked to sacrifice some or all of those events as this plays out. I'm very cognizant of that. As an adult at West, I'm thinking about, the staff fundraisers and the retirement banquets, and I miss the meetings, oddly enough, because I kind of hated them, but I just missed the human connection that was so easy, and I just took it totally for granted that I would just be able to pop into somebody's office and get something worked out, where now, I got to make a Zoom meeting and,
Well, I mean, what do you want to tell the students and community that you might not have been able to tell them before?
That I am 100% confident that we are going to look back at this as a really amazing period in our life. That this is hard, and that we're all being asked to make sacrifices for which we did not get a choice. And that's hard. But that I believe in the West community, and I believe in the staff, and I believe in my students and their families, and that this is hard now, but then we'll get through it. And I believe, just like we have in the other crises that we faced, we'll be stronger. And I just want them to have faith in themselves and their family and their community, and hang in there.
All right. Well, thank you for joining us today in the Regent Spotlight, Dr. Brand. This was our first one. We thought we'd start at the top with you, and we appreciate you coming in. This week we have, you bet. This week we have several other staff members in the Regent Spotlight, and students in the near future. We'd like to start shining the spotlight on you. So we will be reaching out to students and hopefully hear from some of you in the next few days. That's it for now. May the Regent Spotlight shine brightly on you today.